Hey everybody, Rebel here, and as you can see I've got my girl skateboard, my Powell Peralta shirt, and my Lakai Limited hat. So for today's episode, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Yes, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 just came out, and that's crazy to me. First Crash, Spyro, Medieval, and now Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. It's like I'm in a simulation and the programming is banking on my nostalgia to feign happiness. Or corporations doing the same thing. Well, whoever's making on my nostalgia is f***ing up because I want Ape Escape. But I'm still gonna talk about Tony Hawk though.
Yo, do a kickflip! Do a kickflip!
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, with 1 coming out fall 1999 and 2 coming out the following fall in 2000. Now these are not the first skateboarding games that hit the market, but they were my first. And this is when skating and video games finally clicked. Other games before Tony Hawk had real moves but didn't capture the feel of skateboarding. Thrasher had a game come out around the same time, and while it was not a bad game, it wasn't well received. Mainly because people weren't saying get good yet, as the game had some tough to learn controls. But Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was easy to pick up and play, and had the style of the skateboarding scene, and because of that, became a household name, inspiring many kids to go out and pick up a skateboard, only to probably be disappointed in how hard skating actually is compared to, well, this. Yes, I did have Tony Hawk as a kid, and yes, I grew up to be a skater. Correlation? Yeah, probably. And it was great to have these games as a kid. They had actual skate video parts and all the tricks were real, except maybe the over-the-top special tricks. And for someone who was just getting into skating, this was perfect, and I thoroughly enjoyed every one of the first 6 Tony Hawk games, from 1 to 4 and Thug 1 and 2, each coming out fall 1 year after the other, and each game added something new. For example, you couldn't manual in the first game. I know, right? Well, the second game added manuals, but what if you land in quarter pipes? Well, reverts weren't added until 3, spine transfers and skitching weren't added until 4, and being able to get off your board and walk around wasn't added until Tony Hawk's Underground. So Tony Hawk games were coming out every year with major improvements coming out with each title. And because of that, it's no wonder why it became a household name and is getting modern gen remakes along with the likes of Spyro and Crash. So as I was saying, Tony Hawk got me into skating. See, here's me skating. And here's me again. Yep. Pretty nice. But as my skating skills evolved, so did what I want out of a skating game, and that's when EA's Skate came out, which was exactly what I wanted. A game that I could focus on more realistic skating, stuff that was a little too hard for me, but possible, like a nollie heel flip tail slide, maybe with a big flip out. And while that's possible in Tony Hawk games, it was never the main focus. Chaining together ridiculous combos was. Skating a random hubba for longer than 15 seconds isn't fun in Tony Hawk. It's about kickflip backflips down a 50 stair, landing in a manual to grinding a small fountain in a circle 5 times. And while the arcadey style of Tony Hawk is still fun to this day, as a skater, EA's Skate games were always more immersive to the experience to me. And then there's Skater XL, which looks pretty awesome. But we're not here to talk about current skating games. We're here to talk about the games that got us to where we are today. And the most current skating game. Tony Hawk 1 and 2 being remade by Vicarious Visions, the team behind remaking the Crash Insane trilogy, which, if I remember, here's a link to me talking about Crash Bandicoot, but being that this was just remade by the same team, this is just as faithful of a remake. But being that the game was produced by Activision, well, I had a feeling something like this would happen. Now don't take this the wrong way because the game is so good, but there are a few things that lead me to believe that Activision wanted this game out now to not overlap too much with Crash 4 and Black Ops Cold War. And that extra month or 2 could have helped a bunch. but it's way too early to be negative, so I'll touch back on some of the issues I have with the game a little later. Also, some of these issues could be patched, so they may not even be relevant points in the coming months. I will, however, comment on specific changes in the remake, and first is the graphics. The graphics here are beautiful, the levels look so much more full and complete, and it's amazing to see these levels that were full of non-existent skyboxes and terrible draw distances perfectly captured. This game looks good. good. Also, there's the option to change the camera angle, and after switching to near, well, I haven't switched out of it. It's great and adds that skate video style camera common in more realistic skating sims. Also, the menu has completely changed, now being unified between the two games. And the menu itself I don't really have a problem with, except level select being game specific in story but not in ranked modes. And the store I can complain about also, but I'll touch on that later. So let's get into Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. It's a skating game. And if you were thinking it was anything else, I'm rather curious as to how your brain works. Yes, skating is the name of the game here. Well, Skater. Well, Pro Skater. Well, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater-ing. Close enough. So you skate. There's a flip button, a grab button, and a grind button. The flip button, when combined with the direction on the D-pad, or more likely currently the analog stick, will perform a trick while in the air. Kick flips, heel flips, 360 flips, and all the others. The grab button is basically the same, except these tricks are all grabbing the board. Then there's grinding. Sliding on a rail or a ledge, hit the grind button to grind, press it while pressing the analog stick, and boom, more grinds. Then there's manuals. Not around for the first game, but added to the second. However, for the remake, manuals, spine transfer, acid drops, reverts, and wall plants have all returned. Getting off your board didn't make it here, but that makes sense. However, the wall push from later games is sorely missed, as is the spacewalk, which allowed you to regain speed in a manual after coming to a complete stop. So with flip tricks, grab tricks, grinds, and manuals, the point of Tony Hawk is to combine all of those into long combos worth high scores, and the manual and revert are needed to achieve that, so it's great that they added them. They did make it to where you can disable newer functions to have either the classic Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 or 2 controls. I have to say that Vicarious Visions did a great job remaking this game. It feels just like the original, including bouncing off of walls repeatedly like a lunatic. And on top of all the normal tricks are special tricks. Perform other tricks without falling and your special meter fills up, allowing you to press a button combination performing a unique trick such as Tony Hawk's 900. There are special flips, grabs, grinds, manuals, and lip stalls where you stall on the quarter pipe, and these specials are worth a decent amount of points, but you need more time in the air to pull them off. You can chain them together with other tricks and get some crazy high scores. I also want to point out that there are more tricks than there are slots, so replacing certain tricks is definitely something to take a look at. For example, I personally don't like the impossible, so I like to replace it with the front side pop shove it. And that makes more sense to me as it's the opposite rotation of the standard pop shove it. Also, tricks like the ollie north are able to be mapped. You can also replace the lip tricks, which is great because most custom skaters have all of the acrobatic stalls, so I remapped them to the truck and board stalls. You know, tricks I can actually do. Also, if you hit 2 trick buttons while grinding, stalling, or manualing, you'll perform a mid-combo trick, such as a manual to a 360 finger flip and a nose manual to a half cab impossible. You can also go from a manual to a pogo, truck stand, Casper, handstand, and more, with the secret flip tricks there for each of those. Grinds and stalls don't perform secret tricks like manuals, but if you can't ollie on the rail and want to combine more grinds, it's a great way to switch tricks and add to that multiplier. Everything you could want to do, but just super amped up. Yes, some of the more current skating games focus more on the moves, more based in realism, doing things that you can't do, but some pro out there definitely can. They're more based in realism, a truer skateboarding simulator, and that's not Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk's Extreme! Unlike EA's Skate and Skater XL, you can do things that are physically impossible. You can change direction in midair multiple times. You can do repeated kick flips over and over in midair. You can launch out of a quarter pipe over a street onto a roof. And if there's a kicker gap, you can't really ollie off of one side and land down the other unless you really slow down to a crawl. And even then, you'll probably just fly completely over the other side. And since this is something not exclusive to the remakes, I'll bring it up here. Doing a 180 without having the skater's head continue to look forward is off. It looks off. It makes doing front side and backside flip tricks look gross. But this game is about being extreme, not being realistic. And I'm not saying the arcade style is bad, it's just my second choice behind realistic skate sims. Now yes, Tony Hawk is just a skate game, so you skate. But there is stuff to do to progress. I mean, it's not like they have a story though, which is a safe bet. I mean, they could have had a hit or not. In Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, you have a main mode where you progress through the levels one by one. Each level will have 10 challenges to complete in 2-minute sessions. If you complete some of the challenges, but not all, you'll be able to retry. All the challenges you completed will stay completed, but any challenges not completed will reset. Those challenges will be on high score, pro score, 6 score, along with a high combo, collecting 5 letters in skate around the map, finding 5 of a level-specific themed item, finding a secret tape, and then a couple other challenges revolving around specific tricks over gaps or something like that. There are also a couple levels that are contests, giving you 3 1-minute rounds to get a score. Your best 2 scores are your final score. There are also stat points in the levels, as well as a new collectible Vicarious Visions logo somewhere tough in each level, as well as a new hidden alien plushie and new secret graffiti to wall ride, but I'll get into that later. And that's basically what Tony Hawk was. The formula did change with THPS4 to get rid of the 2-minute timer, making each challenge startable by talking to a specific NPC, and Tony Hawk's Underground completely changed it from there by adding a full-fledged story. But the 2-minute timer thing works, you know, I guess, for a arcadey style skate sim. Otherwise? Now when you start Tony Hawk, you can choose one of a bunch of professional and a couple amateur skaters. All the skaters from 2 are here, which had all the same skaters from 1, plus a couple new ones. There's the titular Tony, is it titular? Titular? There's the titular Tony Hawk, Rodney Mullins, Kareem Campbell, Jeff Rowley, and some of my personal favorite skaters from the time, Jamie Thomas, Eric Koston, and the GOAT of the era, Andrew Reynolds. And yes, Andrew Reynolds was the sickest skater in the mid-2000s. Anyone who's seen Baker 3 could tell you that bit of common knowledge. And on top of the classic skaters, there are some new current pro skaters here. The young GOAT, Nyjah Houston, Shane O'Neill, 2018 Skater of the Year, TYSHAWN Jones, and Tony Hawk's son, Riley Hawk. And I knew this kid skated, but I just watched his part in Baker 4, and good God, this guy shreds. And it's like street gnar shredding, none of that family-friendly vert crap his dad was known for. A couple of the new skaters added, I couldn't find any video parts or pro decks, only clips of them at X Games and other competitions, and I'm not sure that corporate competitions capture the feel of the late 90s, early 2000s skate scene. And while competitive skating is a big section of skating nowadays, it doesn't blend with the Tony Hawk feel, and there are plenty of other skaters that don't do many competitions to choose from, and disregarding any nepotism, which if there is any is minimal, Riley Hawk is a great example of this. There are also 2 secret characters, Officer Dick, who is Jack Black, and an alien. Officer Dick you unlock by completing all of the Create a Character challenges, and the alien by smashing an alien plushie hidden in each level. The secret skaters have a few special tricks to go along with them, so you select a skater that is scanned into the game to capture their style, some special moves they may be known for, and that's it. You can collect stat points for each character, bringing their skill levels up, complete challenges of them for new decks, collect all the stat points for a skate clip of that skater. Then there's the Create a Skater, which allows you to create a skater that may look like you. THPS2 had sliders to better customize your skater, something missing from the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, so hopefully you have a standard body type. I kind of do, so this kind of looks like me. The Create a Skater is much more customizable than the Pros, where the Pros have 3 preset outfits. You can change everything about your skater down to the socks, which is awesome. It's actually how I get ready every day. Yes, to customize your skater, there's a store to use money from challenges to buy decks and clothes unlocked from completing challenges. It's pretty nifty and has a bunch of stuff to unlock. However, there may be too much to unlock. So all I'm saying is, I didn't feel like buying and switching my decks a bunch, and maybe a better view of the deck in the store may have led to me buying and switching them out more often, or having less overall items in general. And once you create a skater or choose a pro and then complete the main objectives in the levels, that's it. Each skater's stat points are only found in story mode, or whatever it's called, and the alien plushie and secret graffiti can only be found in story mode as well. Besides that, once you complete the objectives, it's time to move on to rank modes. And this playlist includes free skate, letting you roam around freely with no timer, perfect for gap hunting. There's single session, which is just a 2-minute session to get a high score with a platinum score challenge for each level. including competition levels. Then for the non-competition levels is the speed run, starting the timer from 0 and seeing how long it takes for you to complete all 10 challenges. For completing these are a par time, a standard time to beat, as well as a hard par time, or birdie time I guess. And that time is very tough to beat, and being that the story is unified through all skaters and you can only complete the challenges once, the speedrun option is nice to have. And I know what you're asking, challenges, pro and custom skaters, high scores, speedruns, but where do I skate? Okay, yeah, I know no one asked that, but I needed a transition to start talking about the levels, and I know it's not enough, but nothing ever is for you people. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 features maps set in specific locations, with surroundings matching those locations aesthetically. Many maps feature real locations, actual skate spots you'd see in actual skate videos. One that comes to mind first is the Carlsbad Gap in School 2. I will say that due to the airy nature of the game, the skate spots don't have the same feel that they look like they have in real life. Best example of this is the Honolulu skate park, which is in the Hawaii level in Tony Hawk's Underground. In real life, it's a decent sized skate park. In Tony Hawk, you can ollie over it. And while it may be cool to see spots you're familiar with, it's hard to do in the game what you'd like to do in real life, only because it's so hard to tone down how extreme this game is. So these levels, there's a warehouse and a hangar, 2 schools, 2 indoor skate parks, 2 outdoor skate parks, downtown areas of Minneapolis, San Francisco, New York, Venice, and Philly, a mall, a downhill a bull ring, a half pipe in the ocean, Area 51, and a little place called Skate Heaven. Those last 3 being the quote-unquote secret levels from the original games. And these levels are great, classics. I'm not going to say they're the best. I remember really liking 3, and Thug was probably my favorite. And Thug 2 had some amazing levels as well. But these are classics, so it's okay that they're not the best. I will say School 1 and 2 were probably my favorite levels from the first 2 games though. So there are 19 stages here. Well, I mean 18, because who's gonna count a half pipe floating in the ocean? And those 18 levels should be enough to quench your shredding desires. But if not, this game basically has Super Mario Maker for Tony Hawk. Super Hockey-O Maker. It's me, Tony Hawk. Yes, Create a Park has returned, and boy is it better than ever. It's nothing insane, but it is pretty cool. I used to mess around with this a bunch as a kid, trying to make the skate parks by my house. It never worked as I'd just ollie over them, but it was fun to just mess around while placing items. There's some pretty insane things that can be done. There's this level where if you hold grind, it's basically a roller coaster. A trick you can utilize to get a million combo easy, and even the 10 million combo, which is a challenge and a trophy. There's much more freedom here than there's ever been in Create a Park, as ramps no longer need to click together. You can just make stuff that doesn't make any sense at all, or try to make an actually amazing park. But the fact that Create a Park is here instantly extends the amount of time you'll be spending with this game. And even if you don't see yourself as creative enough to make your own stage, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy everyone else's. And you can remix created parks, so if you see one you like but feel the designer didn't get it quite right, well, you can remix their parks and fix their mistakes, or add to their greatness. And I'm not saying Create a Park is the best part of the game, but it's pretty cool and worth checking out. However, as a kid, there's always one thing I wished you could do in Create a Park, and that was add gaps. However, even in this updated version, creating gaps is not a thing. Which is actually probably for the better, because if I designed a park after the park that I grew up by, I'd have gaps like manual the nipple and transfer the penis. Don't look at me, I didn't design the park. Also, that island looks like it's about to go straight up the snake run and make a little baby skate park. Young love, how precious. Another classic mode that's returning but completely updated is co-op mode. Standard couch co-op is back with the glorious split screen, which insanely drops your frame rate. All the classic modes are back, I think, with graffiti, where you do a trick on an object and it will turn your color. The player with the most items, their color wins. There's trick attack, which is just getting a high score. Tag, which is just tag, horse, and free skate, and combo mambo, I think. And the multiplayer works pretty well, and of course it's like any current game. The multiplayer isn't only couch co-op. Online multiplayer is here also, and it's the same, except you have a full screen. And to tie everything together, the drive behind everything, the challenges. If you want something that's really gonna elongate the amount of time that you can get out of this game, the challenges are great. If you're a completionist like me, on the other hand, yikes. Yes, there are 714 challenges, and as of me writing this, I only have 298. At the time of recording this, I have 387 or so, I don't know, and I probably won't be going for any more, it's just too much. There's so many challenges here. There's the individual skater challenges, with each pro having 21 challenges. Some can be done instantly with a couple combos, others having you get a 6 score on 5 different levels, or a specific style gap done across 10 different levels. Most challenges for the pros either unlock new decks or new outfits for that specific pro. The custom skater has some challenges as well, however these are much more difficult. There are combo challenges including doing 10,000 and 100,000 flips, grabs, grinds, lips, and manuals each, which yikes, I barely have 10,000 flips and only have 260 lip stalls and I need 100,000. There's also getting 10 hours of grind, manual, and lip time, yikes. And the challenges for 1 million and 10 million combos. There's a couple multiplayer challenges, but not a lot. Then there's level specific challenges starting with the gaps. I did mention these, but in case you didn't know, there are gaps, which is getting from one thing to another thing in the same trick or combo. Grinding the whole rail or hubba, gap. Hit that huge stair set, gap. Manual from there to there, gap. Spine transfer from there to there, gap. And you can somewhat tell what the gaps are by the name in the menu. Yes, in case you didn't know, if you go into the game options at the pause screen, you can view all of the gaps. The only thing is, some of these gaps just don't make any sense or seem impossible to complete. You will need to look up where some of these gaps are, and even with a description, you'll need to look up a video because, like I said, some don't make any sense. Regardless, get all of the gaps in a specific level and you unlock a new deck, get all the gaps in a specific game and you get the other deck. Then there's the platinum score challenges, which require you to get above a certain score in a 2-minute sesh or in a single combo, but screw that, which some of these are okay. 500,000 in warehouse and hangar, not bad, but as high as 1.5 million in some levels and 2.5 million in the secret skate heaven. Yikes. And once again, all you unlock is skate decks. And yes, XP that unlocks more skate decks and clothes, and money to buy the decks and clothes. Then there's the Get There challenges, which use the gaps from earlier, but have you connect some of the gaps into one combo. And these can be fun to do while gap hunting. Some of them are clever and fun to pull off. Then there's the hard Get Theirs, and these usually suck. Now on a smaller level, they aren't that bad. They can still be tough though, but it's on the bigger levels where these things just suck. Like School 2, where you have to grind this rail gap, and this rail, and this rail, but only coming down this direction. I actually have completed all of them, but some of the ones like the ones in Bullring and Venice are insanely infuriating, and I actually did think they were impossible. I have a strong feeling the person who added these had perfect mod balance on, because they're almost needed for some of these, even though mods disable it from tracking. Seriously, these things suck. I would have much rather had 3 or 4 good Get Theirs per level as opposed to a possible one and an impossible one. Then there's the speedrun challenges, which have you do the speed runs, which is doing all 10 challenges in a level as fast as possible. There's the part-time, which is a little tough and only grants you an emblem, and the hard part-time, which are very, very hard and require doing everything basically first try in the run to unlock skateboards. Then there's the secret challenges with some random stuff like scaring birds, as well as finding the aliens and secret tags, stomping all of the poop in the bullpen. There's also secret high scores for each level, which are as low as 900,000 in chopper drop and up to 22 million in warehouse and burnside. Yikes, no thanks. And lastly, a challenge section called On Tour, which has you do a specific trick on a specific gap. Easy enough. So there are literally a metric ton of challenges, and if you're a completionist, the struggle is real. Honestly, I'll do as much as I can, but even I know my limits. And if you're not a completionist, this could give you more XP or more cash to spend in the store on a specific skateboard that you want. But besides that, there isn't really a need to do half of these. So I'm not gonna bother. To get a platinum, you'll need to do 1 or 2 par speed runs and 1 or 2 platinum scores, but you'll need to do all of the gaps and all of the hard Get Theirs. And that may be impossible. I'm pretty sure one of the gaps is bugged in Skate Heaven. Also, you'll need to get to level 100, which is gonna require you to do all of the challenges to get to level 30, and then get all of the extra XP for multiplayer. Yikes. And that's what Tony Hawk 1 and 2 have to offer as far as gameplay is concerned. And despite the game's more arcadey nature, it did a great job of capturing the style of skating from the late 90s to early 2000s. And a lot of that is thanks to the amazing original game soundtrack. Almost all of the songs from the originals are here. There's Committed by Unsane from 1, and B-Boy Document 99 from High and Mighty featuring Mos Def, and Out With The Old by Alley Life missing from 2. Not a big deal, but B-Boy Doc 99 is a dope track. But the original soundtrack was so good, with classics like Dub Pistol's Cyclone, Jerry Was a Race Car Driver by Primus, Subculture by Styles of Beyond, and Superman by Goldfinger, which is actually the Tony Hawk theme song. Now you know. The remake has about 36 new songs added from classic artists like Tribe Called Quest, MXPX, Real Big Fish, and Sublime, but also some good new artists like Fiddler and Mercules featuring Tech9 and Hobson. Then there are some songs that just don't fit at all, like Altalk's Let's Do It, Spilt Milk, and Super Best Friends Club all being like house dance music. Then there's rap that just kind of sucks, and I'm sorry if you really like Chai or Skepta, but yeah, no. And some of the other songs added sound kind of corporate. Like the original soundtrack was so gritty, and the new songs just don't fit. I had to remove like 9 or 10 of the songs off of the playlist because I just couldn't do it. But mostly the new songs are fine. And while the soundtrack now is bigger for this game, with all except maybe Tony Hawk's Underground, I do have to say that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 has got to be my favorite soundtrack. Having such amazing bands and artists as System of a Down, The Offspring, Iron Maiden, Loot Pack, Idea and Abilities, and some of my personal favorites, and I mean favorites, Flogging Molly and A$AP Rock, not A$AP Rocky. And that's what Tony Hawk 1 and 2 Remake have to offer. It is a great game that really does capture the amazing nostalgia that we all have for this series. However, there are some issues I have with the game. Shocker, I know. Some of these I may have already mentioned, but I'll just sum up everything right here. First off, there was a demo for digital pre-orders. I'm sorry, but screw that. If I physically pre-order the game, I should still get the demo. This is bad, and it's just as bad, if not worse, that is happening to Crash 4 pre-orders also. Then on top of that, the game released at 6 p.m. Pacific time on the 3rd digitally, while physically I couldn't pick it up until 10 a.m. the next morning. That's a whole 16-hour difference for getting it digital. And as someone who would like the box for myself, I hate this choice. Now, if game companies would send you an empty box for a game if you had the digital receipt and request it, but since that's a personal half-pipe dream, that's not the case. I'm weird and I like holding up a box when talking about a game. I feel extremely weird standing here not holding a box. I mean, I guess I could hold a box for Final Fantasy 15, but that's not Tony Hawk, and this is really stressing me out. Other issues are only doing the story challenges once. You can do them again in speedrun, but since you need the stab points in each level in story mode with each character, well, it's not like I'm already in the area. Then there's some seemingly impossible challenges, like the hard get-theres being a huge pain in the ass. Certain gaps just don't make sense and should have been fixed, altered, or just left out. And then there's the bugged gap in Skate Heaven. For example, the secret area in Skate Heaven sucks to get to. It takes me like 10 tries to boneless out of this quarter pipe to make it into the volcano. I don't know why this is such an issue, but it's infuriating. Then there's a challenge where you need to hold only a lip stall to get 5,000 points and then revert to get over 2,000 points with only 2 tricks. And even with maxed out lip stall, doing something literally as easy as standing on an axle stall, something I can hold for over a minute in real life as it's literally just standing there. And it's so hard to balance. It almost feels like the stats for balance don't do a damn thing. Meanwhile, the speed stat has you bouncing off walls like a goddamn psycho. Then there's the thing that bugs me the most. But as a runner-up, when you manual up a bank and straight down backwards, you should come down as a switch nose manual. But somehow you come down switch manual. You magically switch from being on your back trucks to being on your front trucks. Why? And then the main problem with this game, fakie and nollie tricks, which if you do a trick fakie or nollie, it's like riding backwards, so the trick is going to rotate backwards, sort of. For example, a varial flip. A regular varial flip would look like this, while a nollie varial flip would look like this. But if you do a nollie or fakie tray, or a 360 flip for the non-skaters, it will start rotating the correct way, but once you upgrade to a tray from a varial, it switches to a standard footed tray. To a skater, this is unacceptable. A fakie tray is one of the staples of street skating. It is one of the most amazing tricks out there. Bias, I know, but it is. And the fact that a game coming out in 2020, you can't fakie tray, that is unacceptable, and that needs to be fixed immediately. Also, where the hell is Girl Skateboards? That's my go-to brand. Eric Koston's old brand, and it's still around, I checked, but isn't anywhere in this game because he's on Thank You. And Girl Missing kinda sucks. And there's the music, and while some of the new songs are great, most of the punk and rock songs are definitely fitting, some of the hip-hop just isn't right. Flamingo by Token is a pretty good song, along with Bass by Mercules and Tech9 and Hobson, but some, yikes. Chai South and Chick Norris's Made Me Do, for example. And then punk bands with names like Destroy Boys and Screaming Females. Right on. 3 of the new skaters basically seem like inclusivity inclusions. None of them have any skate footage online, and they're all sponsored by Nike. Shocker. Also, if you made it this far, thanks a bunch. Rarely anybody does. The retention rate's kinda low. So if you did make it this far, I just want to apologize if I just offended you or I'm about to offend you, but I'm about to go on a little bit of a rant. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. One of the new skaters added to the game built a skate park in New York that actively discriminates against people based on their sexual orientation and gender. Like, I'm sorry, but what? The skating community is so unaccepting that you need to bar people from your skate park based on the way they were born? First of all, the skating community is full of misfits, people who didn't feel like they belonged anywhere else. And because of that, it might be the most accepting community that I've ever been a part of. That is, until now, apparently. They complain about skate companies telling them how they should dress. Yeah, that sucks. That sounds like a crappy company. But hey, just go over to Nike where they don't care who you are, just be you, so long as you're a professional victim. Seriously, who in their right minds makes a skate park and says if you were born with these genitals and is attracted to this gender and use these pronouns, you're not allowed in my skate park? If I made a skate park, I would let men, women, that area in between, regardless of who you're attracted to or whatever you want to call yourself, so long as you had a skateboard. The only people I wouldn't let in are people with bikes and scooters, because that's what skateboarding's about. Skateboarding, not corporate sellouting and gender pronouns. Okay, and that's the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake. I have been having a blast playing it. It's so much fun, and it's making my nostalgia just go through the roof. It really makes me just want to play all of the levels, including the ones from 3 all the way up to Thug 2, as every experience in the Tony Hawk franchise seems to be better than the last. And this remake handled the graphics amazingly, as expected. It is Vicarious Visions, after all. But being that this was the bar that was set for them, it would have been really hard to screw this up. But even with the low standard set before it, this game is amazing, and with the exception of the fakey and nollie double tricks reverting back to regular stance, this game is great. Some of the challenges are extremely challenging, but it is what it is. Actually ridiculous high scores is kind of a staple of arcadey style games, so it really is super fitting. And that's gonna wrap this one up. Thanks a bunch for watching. I am, once again, kind of, I guess, sorry if I offended you, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna let the fact that somebody won't like what I have to say stopping me from saying what I want to say. And I hope that no one's taken aback by me saying something such as, this petty discrimination is incredibly stupid. Like, I'm not mad or offended, it's just stupid to me. But if you liked any other parts of this video, feel free to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, leave a comment down below. Have you picked up Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 or 2? Are you planning on it? Are you waiting for more information about it? Waiting for it to get fixed a little bit? Waiting for money to buy it? Are you playing it? Do you like it? Please let me know down in the comment section below. All of that other wonderful good stuff. And until next time, shred till you're dead.